Okay, so we've done none of the controls that we usually do with rendering to add shadow, cast light, and that sort of thing. And that's because we're going to jump to what's called a higher quality of rendering. In this case, I refer to it as ray traced. The idea of the icon is a teapot. It's one of the first objects that were used when they were developing the algorithms for doing high quality renderings. In this case, they call it photorealistic imaging. And we're going to go ahead and render our scene that way. So I've clicked up the dialog box, and we're going to set this for medium quality. You'll notice the image is a little bit small. It's 1,000 pixels by 1600 or 600. So I'm going to close this off, and I'm just going to zoom into this scene just a little bit closer because I do want to make higher quality renderings. And now if I go to rendering, you'll notice that 1,000 has gone up to 1,200. I want to set it for exterior, sun, and artificial. Only just to remember, if we do add artificial lighting later on, we can accommodate that. And then we want to make sure that we set our time for this to be a still day, an in-session still lighting. And we're going to start out by rendering in February at noon. So we should set that accordingly. And I'll click apply for that. And now we're really ready to actually do our first rendering. So I'm going to go ahead and click render, and this is going to take a few minutes because now it takes a lot more computational time. I may actually put it on pause so that we can, well, this one's moving fairly quick. I have a pretty quick computer. Yours might be slower, so bear with it. Okay, so that's completed up and the room is really dark. So the first control we have is we can adjust exposure. It's mine is set for 14. I'm going to move this back maybe, let's say, to, well, let's go to 10.3. So let's see what that looks like. I'm going to move that a little bit closer. And maybe just a tad closer. We're going to add larger windows, so the room's going to get very bright soon. So I don't want to get it overly. And when we set this, we're going to keep this setting the same so that we get a consistent effect from each room, each setting that we change. So I'm just going to try and put 8 in there. And so that's going to be the setting. I'll click apply and OK for that. So now we have a realistic exposure, so our eyes can now see it. Clearly see into the shadow details, and I'm going to go ahead and save this to the project. I'll call this medium window February at 12 p.m. Oops, make a couple corrections here. And that'll show up in the renderings here. So I've just saved it. It looks like I had another one from a previous round with this. So let me just make sure. I'm going to go ahead. I'm sorry about this. I'm going to have to delete this. Let's see what this one looks like. And we'll go ahead and delete this one again. I'm going to re-render this. I'll put it on pause and re-render it so we only have one of these saved. Okay, so I corrected it. I only saved one version of it. And now we're going to save it again, but we're going to save it in June. So I'm going to go back to the lighting setting, or the sun setting. And I'm going to change this now to 6. Click apply. And then go ahead and re-render this again. And then we're going to resave this one. Remember, now we had the February one. Now this is the June one with medium-sized windows. As soon as this completes, I'll save it. And this is June. The sun is higher in the sky at 12 p.m. And I'll click OK. And now the next thing we're going to do is alter the window size.